So I finished another little project and it ended up as a huge learning experience. Like, don't underestimate the power of little projects to get a lot of learning out of them. Um, it's just a PigLatin translator, and you get a wise saying, a random wise saying, and it's translated in PigLatin. Uh, so, why was this such a huge learning experience? Um, well, first of all, my first idea was to make a Yoda translator. So you get a Y saying and it translates into Yoda speak, and that would have been super cool. Um, but my initial struggle was with APIs. So I would have used two APIs, uh, one for the quote and another for Yoda speak. Put that quote into the Yoda speak API and translate it. Um, there were a few Yoda speak translator APIs. And I was having trouble with APIs in general, just the headers and the endpoints and the methods, get and post, all the different parts and errors. And um, a friend of mine ended up uh, giving me some good advice, saying if I were to create my own API, I would then understand how APIs work, all the different parts and stuff. So that's what I did. um, I found a tutorial that takes you through, using Node with Express and Mongo with Mongoose and building a RESTful API from scratch. And once I went through that tutorial, my friend was right. I went back to the APIs had been looking at, and I understood all the different parts and what they were asking for and what the errors meant. So one, for example, had a CORS error, and now I knew what a CORS error was. And what happened was on his end, he had forgotten to handle those situations and to allow access, basically. So I found a way to get around that by using a proxy server, which adds time to the loading, but, little project, no big deal. So I got around that error, and I also had to learn how to change the string into URL format to make it the endpoint and get it translated. And it worked. Well, the API worked, but it wasn't the best API. It translated it into Yoda, kinda, but yeah, the punctuation was in strange places. It just wasn't the best translator. So I tried a different one, and I got that one working too. So I was getting a lot of API practice. But it could only translate 5 times per hour, which I went through very quickly. And I would have had to pay a monthly fee to get more translations per hour, which I didn't want to do for this project. So it was very sad, but I abandoned the Yoda thing. Maybe someday I'll make my own Yoda translator and make it free for everyone, because the world would be a better place if you could translate things into Yoda. But in this case, I decided to get some good practice with regular expressions and algorithms and just translate it into PigLatin. So what I ended up with was, brushing up on regular expressions because I hadn't used them for a while. So basically, for a word, like just a normal word, you find out if it starts with a vowel, then you just append yay to the end. Where is that anyway? Oh yeah, one yay. And if it starts with a consonant, like without, you put the consonant at the end and append a. And so that's where these are. Oh yeah, if it starts with a vowel, yay. If it starts, this is the else. So if it starts with a consonant, and check it out, I even commented my code. Can you believe it? And then different case is when the word ends with punctuation. So how to translate it if it ends with punctuation of any kind. So I just added a different condition there. If it starts with any amount of letters, ends with a punctuation, then you're basically going to do the same thing you do down here, but you're going to keep the punctuation at the end. That's nice. And then the last case I had to deal with was recapitalizing it in the right place, you know? So like in this case, it's Pavlova, or okay, how about there? That's easier. There, but you don't want the T capitalized. You want the first letter capitalized. And I was going through my mind all the different ways I might be able to do this, different array methods, and finding indices and different stuff like that. And one morning, it just came to me, wait, I can just use a for loop. That's what for loops do. So that's what I did. Um, yeah, just capital PigLatin, empty array. And then I have array 1, array 2, which ended up being English words and PigLatin words. And you cycle through, and if it starts with a capital letter, then you replace the lowercase letter, and here's a function, you do it to uppercase and push it to the array. And if not, then you just push that index to the matching index to the array. And it worked. And I always forget about the for loop, you know? I love using all those fancy array methods that just make it so easy. But they're basically, it's good to remember that they're basically shortcuts. And under the hood, they're really just doing for loops. Like they're doing everything that you could do just with for loops. So it was a good exercise to review all. It's basically algorithms that I'm working through. It was great practice in case I need to have an interview sometime soon, maybe. But yeah, just don't underestimate the power of the for loop. You can do whatever you need to do with that. Even the regular expressions, like that's super fancy and makes things super simple too. But I could have accomplished everything I did with the regular expressions with for loops or in some other way. So you don't have to know it. It just makes things simpler. So I learned a lot with this little project. And it's pretty fun learning through projects as opposed to just going through exercises and saying, okay, next algorithm is real problem solving to accomplish something. So I dig it. So enjoy the PigLatin words of wisdom.